Welcome to Jaunty Haunts, the podcast about all things supernatural. After 30 years of keeping a secret, I'm finally ready to share with the world that I see ghosts. Yep, I've been having conversations with the other side while trying to keep up appearances. This podcast is all about getting spooky and connecting with others who might also sense, see, or feel things beyond the ordinary. We'll swap true tales of the seen and unseen, and maybe even laugh about the weird stuff we've experienced. Whether you're a skeptic or a believer, come join me as we explore the paranormal. Let's connect, share, and maybe feel a little less crazy together. Welcome to Jaunty Haunts. Hey listeners, welcome to episode 10! In honor of our 10th episode in the holiday season, I have decided to release a two-parter today. Yep, that's a double feature, dropping in one day since we're hitting double digits. We're chatting with Kiwi, actor, nurse, and overall beam of sunlight, Hannah Fernando, about science versus the paranormal, her parents' honeymoon at the Cecil Hotel, the medical field and palliative care, and our fascination with the strange and morbid. Hannah has some very cool unexplained experiences. I can't wait for you all to hear. You can find Hannah on Instagram at thatnursehannah to get a peek into the awesome person she is and the great content she creates by bringing joy and comedy to the nursing field and all walks of life. Head to Instagram today. She's got some really great stuff, you guys. Before we jump into part one, I want to give a heads up that the first 18 minutes we recorded in a semi-public place, so the sound quality is a bit raucous. But the remainder of the episode and part two we recorded back at my apartment, so my apologies for the first 20-ish minutes. I promise it gets better. Trigger warning for suicide and self-harm. The CASPER rating of this episode is 3. Now, let's get into it. Please enjoy episode 10, part 1.
International guest.
Yes. Okay, if you don't mind, can you just introduce yourself and tell us kind of who you are, where you're from, and how you came across the podcast?
Okay, so I am Hannah Fernando. I'm from New Zealand, and my husband and I moved to New York here in June of this year because of my husband's work. He is a doctor, and I'm a nurse. But I'm not nursing at the moment. I'm having a break.
Great.
I'm having a bit of a break. So yes, New Zealand, husband's a doctor, I'm a nurse. I'm not nursing right now. I'm dabbling into the art of acting, and then I met you. I love, so my favorite thing to do, I have a twin sister, and
you do?
I do.
Oh, that's right, you said that at the first class, yeah.
Yes. And her and I, we are so drawn to scary stories.
Yeah.
Back in the day, we used to go on to Google before podcasts,
yeah.
and Google scary stories for some reason, and we'd love to read them in the car. And then obviously, podcasts were a thing 10 years later, and we'll listen to podcasts, spooky stories, while we are cleaning, tidying, vacuuming. I'm so, it's this escapism of a spooky story.
100%.
And I'm so entertained by them, which is kind of disturbing.
No, it's great.
But you know what I mean? I'm just curious about it all. And it's I'm such a skeptic, because I'm I don't want to see a ghost, but I want to really know if there
is something out there.
Yeah. And it's I'm such a believer, but I'm also I find it hard to believe.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Right. Absolutely.
So I just thought it was so cool, because you were so candid and beautifully open about your experience. When you addressed it into the class, I was like, oh my God, this girl's so cool.
Well, if you don't mind, I want to hear your story. You said you have kind of a weird thing that happened, unexplainable.
Unexplainable, yes. So you said that you're very open at the end of your podcast. You say you're open to, I can't remember what you say. You say you're open to all the weird and wonderful. It's not just ghosts.
Yeah,
and you say, I can't remember the key word, but you say something about your, you're just open to anything spooky, not necessarily ghosts.
Yeah,
and
anything unexplainable, paranormal, supernatural, yeah.
Yes. So, my uncle says he's seen a ghost. And I'm always just to like be so drawn to like that ghost story. My dad like kind of believes in like spiritual stuff. He's such a like man, like a spade's a spade.
Take two.
Take two.
If you don't mind just starting over.
No.
I loved what you were saying about like how your dad.
Oh yes, it's spooky.
He's a believer.
Yes, so my dad is a spade's a spade. Everything is like pretty black and white, but then he'll like throw out some random thing like I had a dream, and there was a name that popped up, and you're like, what was the name? And he's like, he'll just suddenly be very spiritual all of a sudden,
really?
And you're kind of like weird. So I feel like that's where I've gotten the spiritual side of things from my dad, which is very surprising. So anyway, the weird thing that happened, unexplainable, I've said it to a few people, and there's been like theories.
Okay.
So Chris, my husband, and we were living with mum and dad trying to find a house to buy.
Okay.
It's back in New Zealand, in Christchurch. And their house, mum's and dad's house, has always been like, they built it in the 90s, and then we had a big earthquake, like a 10, 15 years ago, and then they built a completely new house, but on the same land.
Okay.
And so it's a new house, doesn't have any spooky feel to it at all. And Chris would go to this gym in the morning, and he would like turn on the lights and just be so inconsiderate because I'm still asleep, and he'd like rummage around, get his gym gear, and then like leave, right? So that happened that morning. Turn on the light, he got his gym gear on, and then he turned off the light, left to go to the gym. I then got up like an hour later to get to work, and I was just like a normal morning. Like I had my coffee, I like packed my bag to get myself ready to go to work, and I was like, oh, where the fuck are, can I swear? Yeah. Where the fuck are my keys? Where are my keys? Because at this point, mum and dad used to have a barcode to get into the garage, but for the meantime, we had to use the keys to get into the house. And I'm like, I can't leave without the keys, because if I get home, I'm not going to be able to get in, because I'm the first person to get home after work. And I was just like, where are my keys? Like, just not like fixated, but I was like, Hannah, you got to leave soon, because if you don't leave, you're going to be late to get to work.
Were your car keys connected to those keys?
Yes, but I was biking to work at this point.
Okay.
Yeah, good question. So I was like, where the fuck are they? And then Chris walks down the hallway in his like, we call them jockeys, like
gym shorts.
Yeah. And he's like half asleep, and he hands me the keys, and he goes, here you go, baby. And I'm like, oh my God, thank you so much. And I grab the keys, feel them, put them in my pocket, hop onto my bike, and I'm like biking to work. And I'm like, thank God Chris gave me my keys, because I wouldn't have left the house without my keys.
Right.
So I bike to work, have a shift at work. I bike home, and I'm thinking this morning about, oh my God, remember how I couldn't find my keys, and then Chris gave me my keys, and I felt my pocket, and my keys were missing again. I'm like, are you kidding me? My keys are missing again. I've lost them twice now. Oh my God. Is weird. So I was like, I had like a gym membership key ring, so I rang the gym. They didn't have the keys handed to them. I rang the lost and found at the hospital, because I worked at the hospital.
Right.
No keys were handed in. Mum comes home by this stage, and I'm like, Mum, I've lost my keys. And she's like, oh, well, like, where do you think they are? I'm like, well, they could have fallen out in my pocket when I was biking to work. Because like we have like this park, Hagley Park, and it could have fallen out in the park when I was biking. So Mum and I were like, let's go and find the keys in the park. Okay. So we were on this big like expedition. And like, sure enough, weirdly, we saw Chris biking home. Okay. Like it was just a weird coincidence that like I would also see Chris like pass us. Yeah. And anyway, like Chris stopped on his bike, and me and Mum were smiling. I was like, hey Chris. And he's like, hey, and he's like, what are you doing? I'm like, oh my God, you wouldn't believe, but like, remember how you gave me my keys this morning? I lost them again, and now we're trying to find them in the park. And he goes, I didn't give you your keys this morning.
No.
And I think the scariest thing that happened was, I remember like you said something about like the mind's eye. I remember he turned on the light to get to the gym. Right. And I remember being like, oh, fuck. Okay, I'm a schizophrenic. And I remember looking at Mum, and Mum gave me the most scariest, motherly, like, concerned look. She was really, like, frightened. And that really, like, I just remember being like, I'm not well. Something's happened because you gave me my keys. You gave me my keys this morning. And it was so real, real. And the fact that he was like, I didn't give you your keys this morning. It was like, and I rewound and was like, yes, I remember you went to the gym this morning. Crap, gave me my keys. And Mum was like, she responded in a very unusual way. Normally she would have laughed it off as well, but she was like, let's just keep walking. Let's just go for a walk. And I was like, okay. And I just kind of started to like get a little bit panicky and thought like, I hallucinated. Something weird has just happened this morning. Unexplainable. So I like have some theories because I talked to someone that can see ghosts.
Okay.
This medium lady, her theory is Chris, what is that word called? Astral projected. Yeah. That was her theory. And I was like, yeah, but like, where was Chris's body, whatever, if he astral projected to give me my keys? Right. And like, I love Chris, but I just don't think he has it in him to astral project. Maybe he does, but like, I just like didn't like. Chris was like, nah, I don't think I did, Hannah. I'm like, yeah, I don't think you did either. And then some other person that's quite woo-woo was like, I think it was another dimension, and it was
interesting,
a dimension where Chris didn't go to the gym that morning, and you saw him he gave you your keys, like as in another world. You know, like we don't, like, it's just so crazy to think we just have this one linear world that we're standing on right now, right? Yeah. Like all the aliens, all the galaxies,
timelines and things. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like, can we really accept that this is the one?
God,
you know?
let's
So
hope
like,
not,
So like, exactly. Spooky if it is, right? Like, very depressing.
Yeah.
So I was kind of like leaning into that dimension, like maybe it is. And then I was like, yeah, could be. And then we also came up with a theory, which is my favorite theory, which is I just had a really lucid dream. Mm-hmm. I was half asleep, getting ready for work, and while I was half asleep, my subconscious was like, Hannah, you need to fucking get to work. You're already late right now.
Right.
Your keys are missing. And I just made it up in my head, a vivid dream. Okay. That was so real.
Right.
So real.
It
felt so real that I saw Chris, hand me my keys, because I had to make up some story to get me out of...
Yeah, to keep you sane.
Yeah, to get me out of the house, to get me to work, because I was going to be late.
Right.
Yeah, so those are my theories. I mean...
They're great theories. Here's my question.
Yeah.
Did you ever find the keys?
Yes.
Where were they?
They were in my bed where, like, my feet are, like, at the bottom of the bed under my blankets. I don't know how they got there.
That confirms my theory. Can I tell you my theory?
Yes, tell me.
I had three theories, but what you've just said has kind of reinforced mine, and it might be kind of the creepiest.
Oh my God, okay, ready.
I think you had a visit from a trickster spirit, we call it, right?
Yeah.
Specifically, trickster spirits are known for stealing and hiding keys, things that open doors into other, like, think of it like a portal, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of times, like, when we lose our keys or we miss our keys, or we remember, like, I put them here and now they're gone.
Yeah.
Like, it's just like a weird thing. I feel like that's happened to everybody at some point of like similarly, I had the same thing. I was doing a show, I was performing, and I put my keys in my bag. I went home, they weren't in my bag, I couldn't get in my house. Mm-hmm. I dumped everything out on the sidewalk out front of my apartment, and they weren't in there. So I'm like freaking out, and they weren't connected to my car key. Yeah. Like an idiot. And so I went back to the theater, and I looked through my dressing room, looked through everything, and I was like crying and having a panic. I was like, I can't get in my apartment. Yeah. And my boyfriend, Jordan, he was like, okay, well, like, let's just look through your bag. And I was like, getting defensive. Like, I already looked through my bag, and he's like, let's just dump it out. I'm like, I dumped everything out. I hold my bag upside down. Key is the first thing that falls out.
Oh my gosh. Weird.
It's like, what the heck? Like, maybe I was tired, maybe I missed it.
Yeah.
I think something is missing. No, but I do think something is messing with you, because I think if Chris was astral projection takes energy, right?
Yeah.
From the person who's doing it.
Yes.
So if you had called him and you were like, babe, I can't find my keys. Can you help me? Like, I don't know what to do. And he's like, I wish I could help you, but I can't. Oh, and like he had said like, oh, you were on my mind so much. I wish.
Yeah.
Like that might make a little sense, right?
Yeah.
But he wasn't. And he was like, I don't know what you're talking about.
We would have been at the gym.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think he was, he thinks about me all the time.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think he was really like,
specifically concerned about like getting your keys to you.
Yeah.
So that kind of like crosses that out for me.
Mm-hmm.
Dimension stuff, sure, that's a possibility. But I think, I don't know. I think I personally have less experience with that. So I'm not going to discount that. That could totally be a thing.
Yeah.
But specifically because it was your keys and where you ended up finding them.
That was the weird part.
I feel like you had a trickster spirit, and they're very nomadic, so they like are not like something that would be like the ghost of someone who's passed away on your land or in your home. It's just like literally maybe hopped on you from the hospital, the energy of this trickster spirit messed with you a little bit and then went on its way.
Well, like,
you know what I mean?
It was, I think what like scared me so much was, and like what I also wasn't frightened. I wasn't frightened. I was just like, that's fucking creepy.
Yeah.
Was the fact that like the way he walked, the way he like was half asleep, the way he was like, here you go, baby. Like that I know he sounded exactly like Chris.
Yeah.
And that's why I was like, if it was like, an old man with like a lantern and was like,
sure,
here are your keys, I'd be like, okay, that's a ghost. This is something. Because it was Chris, I felt so like reassured that like what I saw wasn't I guess anything else but
it
Chris.
was him. Yeah. But they're very good at manipulating and taking advantage of either your perception of what you want to see or transforming into whatever they want to be.
Yeah.
It's why like, again, similarly, like people will be in their house and they'll hear like their mom call their name.
Yeah.
And they'll run downstairs and be like, what? And be like, what do you mean what? Like, will you call my name? No, I didn't. Like, those are trickster spirits. Those things that mimic and replicate and like take the form of the people in our lives to like fuck with us, basically.
Yeah. Well, I was gonna ask, like, I'm not spooked by it, and I haven't had an experience.
Yeah.
I don't think since. I mean, that was vivid. But I stumbled something on the internet, like probably a TikTok, and it was like something about a girl was recording like a video, and it was like of her door, and she was like, this isn't my mum. My mum doesn't sound like that. And it was like, have you seen it? Oh my god, this girl, she's like recording her door, bedroom door, and it's like this person on the other side of the door is like, come on, honey, like, oh, let me. Wait,
I know the exactly what you're talking about now. Yes, that's a mimic. Specifically, it's called a mimic.
Spooky. So what's the difference between like a trickster spirit and a mimic?
Okay, so like, I actually have that video saved in my ghost like TikTok file, and I have a voice recording I can just share with you of me telling Sierra about that exact video, saying like, we have to do an episode on this.
It's so disturbing.
I don't know enough to talk about it. Like, I have to do research, but I know they are very prolific for being in like the Appalachian area, like where there's a lot of those like Appalachia cryptids. Have you seen like all those kinds of things? No. Okay, that's a fun but very scary rabbit hole to go down. Anyway, so basically stay tuned. I have to do more research. But a trickster is different. Like innately, tricksters can just be like more related to like fae, or like fairies or little things. I think of like little energy, right? Little things that can transform and, come and change into different things to like get pleasure out of like seeing your confusion or hurt or scare or whatever. Whereas like mimics, I think there is a goal or an intention of stealing your energy, stealing your soul, stealing a part of you, or becoming someone, a possessive element. I think if that makes sense.
Yeah, that does. Yeah.
Way more dark.
Okay. Yeah. This thing, because I don't think it was Chris, but it wasn't Chris.
Yeah.
It was like they knew I had to leave. to get out of the house because I was going to be late. So I feel like their intention was to like, Hannah, we'll help you out. Come on, here's your keys.
Yeah,
off you go.
That's my two other theories pre-knowing about where you found the keys was, yes, I think it could also be a dream, right? You had a very vivid dream. And then you woke up, it was living in your subconscious, you left, whatever.
Yeah.
Third theory was that it was actually more like a helpful spirit or like an angel spirit that was like, sometimes we just don't understand how like, you know, leaving 3 minutes or 5 minutes can make a difference to our life of a car accident or whatever. You know what I mean? Yeah. So maybe there was a guardian angel that was like, just sort of like playing an image to you of like, here's your keys, go. You know, so you're like, oh, okay, like I guess I'm gonna go now. And like you ultimately were safe and uninjured and you got through your day okay.
Yes. Yeah.
So it could also be that. But then where you found your keys makes me think like, I think it may be a little like, more gremlin energy.
Yeah. Like who puts their keys in the bottom of their bed? It's just so weird. But I do remember as well being like, not even that surprised that they were in the bottom of my bed because I was just so startled by how three-dimensional Chris looked. Yeah. How much I felt. Like
did you feel his hand brush your hand?
No, but I felt the keys drop and the coldness and the feeling in my pocket. I even remember biking and like patting my pocket, being like, yeah, they're there. They're there. You know, like, because, you know, you don't want to, I don't know, it was just bizarre. Yeah. It was spooky.
That's a great story, though. Thank you for sharing that story.
Oh my God.
Anyway, so my question to you is, how do I say this? Okay, my question is, you, I guess, don't know sometimes if other people can see what you see, or is it just you and your gift seeing what you see?
What do you mean?
So, like, how do you know like when you see something, when you see a spooky interaction, or like a you know a thing, or like you said last time, you know, like something really scary on the train track, you know, like just something like something that's completely like, this is abnormal, this is not, like, this is out of the realm of normal. Is everyone else seeing it? Like, how do you have a feeling that what you're seeing is your gift, or do you have a feeling when you're like this is what I'm saying, or do you have a feeling of like, are you seeing what I'm seeing? Like, like, how do you give it a time frame? Like, what goes on in your head?
That's interesting. I feel like usually it is a feeling because it's like very much in my gut, right? I'll feel that pull before I actually see something, right? It's very rare that I'll catch something out of the corner of my eye and then be like, ooh, like, what is that? I'll feel the feeling first and then I'll see the being or whatever it is. But that's why it's hard, like, living in New York, right? Because I'm getting a lot of energy from so many different people that it's hard to distinguish, like, with the train story, because I'm like, I'm already nervous. I'm already like, there's a lot going on. So it more surprised me because even if that is going, it's like, I think maybe I am on the spectrum a little bit because I get so overstimulated that I can't decipher what is what with my woo-woo stuff.
Yeah, sure.
The times it's the loudest here, though, is funny, is like a pure, like, English voice. It will say, do not go that way. Like, it shouts at me, like if I'm going down the stairs at a certain subway station or something, it'll go, stop, do not go that way. And that's happened like 4 or 5 times since I've lived here.
Okay.
And I've just like been like, oh, okay.
And you don't go that way?
No, because I will say the one time I ignored that voice.
Has there been a time?
Yes. And I got a horrible car accident. And my whole wrist split in half.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And I was like fully unconscious.
Wow.
Yeah. I was like literally ignored it, and then that happened.
When you ignored it, were you like, ooh, I know I shouldn't, or were you like, shut up?
Yeah. I was like, whatever. Like, I was going to Jordan's house to we're gonna make chili. We had just been to the Getty Museum. Yeah. And I was like, oh yeah, let's hang out, like, let's make dinner, we'll make chili, okay, great. I was like, I'm gonna go home, grab my clothes to change, and then I'll meet you at your place. And I took a shortcut and it was like, no, don't go that way. I was like, what? Why would I go the long way? Like, arguing in my head, like, why would I go the long way?
And have you been that way before?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
There was like 2 different ways of going depending on the time of day with, you know, rush hour traffic and
was like, no, I'm going to go this way. And it was like, don't go that way. And like, I was like, whatever. And like, the rest gets kind of blurry. It kind of, you know, affects me. But basically it was like a, don't. And then like,
oh my gosh.
Boom. And he hit me so hard, he spun me around fully 360 into 2 other cars.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
But you are here.
Yeah,
today.
I'm here. I mean,
and you're now a bionic woman.
Yeah. I tell every, every doctor has told me, like, you're so lucky it was just this. When I show them pictures of my car, they're like, I don't know how it wasn't like your spine.
Yeah.
You know?
Like your rest of all things. So, because of my science skepticism. That's not the word.
Yeah, skepticism.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. I'm like, I would be more like, it's because I like believe you, definitely.
No, please.
I believe you.
Is it my trauma? Is it, yeah.
Well, the thing that you said with the vine, which you'll probably tell people about, but like the vine thing.
Quick interjection here for the listeners. I want to tell you the personal story that Hannah is referring to when we're talking about the vines. So one time during the pandemic, I was a registered CCO, which is a COVID compliance officer for TV and film sets when I was living in LA. So I was working on a horror film on a property northeast of Burbank. I think it was called like The Burned House. It was a night shoot, and the movie was about like a coven of witches and something. I don't really remember. It was an interesting script. It was our second or third night of shooting, and it was, of course, just before 3 a.m., probably like 2:40, 2:48 or something. So late at night, getting ready for the shoot. The vines are hanging all over us. I mean, there's probably, I'd say, between 25 to 40 stringy prop vines hanging down between lengths of 3 feet and 7 feet, sporadically placed around the set, hanging from the ceiling. I was spraying things down, cleaning things, watching how they were gonna do the shot so that I would know when and what to disinfect, where to have the masks ready for the actors. And I'm standing there, and a vine that's, I don't know, maybe like 6 feet long, hanging from the ceiling, just starts to raise. Is hard to explain it. Imagine if a human grabbed the bottom of the vine and just sort of started picking it up really slowly. So the vine is sort of making this J shape, right? It's kind of curving into a U, like someone is grabbing one side and pulling it up and pulling it up and pulling it up until it's like, I don't know, maybe raised up about a foot higher. And I'm just watching it, and I'm looking around the room like, please tell me someone else is seeing this. Like, this is like so clear what's happening. And everyone was just so tired and focused on their own tasks of getting the lighting just right, centering it on the cage, looking at the shot, the frame, and like I'm standing in the back in the shadows, and this vine next to me is just lifting up. And finally, someone across the room who's about to enter, it was a PA, saw me standing next to the vine and like did a double take. And we were all wearing masks, keep in mind, so we can't like be incredibly expressive. But like my eyebrows are really high, and I'm just looking at him, and his eyebrows start to get high, and he does the motion to his neck, like, like cut it, kill it, like like nope, and then just turns around and walks the other way. Like, and I just wanted to be like, no, I wanted to share this moment with you. And it's funny, it just kind of dropped right after that. After he turned around and walked the other way, the vine just dropped.
The fact that the other guy could see it.
Yes.
I'm like, ooh, that's spooky. Like it gives me another level of spookiness, because it's not just you and your mind playing tricks on you.
Yes.
It's not subjective, it's now objective, because someone else has seen it.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, this is Brian O'Connor.
And I'm Michael Duran.
Horror fans, it's time to get your fix with Opening Kill, the new podcast where we dissect everything terrifying in the world of horror.
From the latest movie news to an in-depth look at a feature film and a peek at chilling horrors to come, we've got you covered.
Whether it's gore, suspense, or supernatural thrills, Opening Kill is the ultimate horror deep dive.
Listen to Opening Kill on your favorite podcast platform every other Thursday, if you dare.
How many other encounters have you had where other people have like
validated it or witnessed it? Yeah, I would say like for sure confirmed, like even more so than that. I would say probably like 3 times that it's been like truly like confirmed, right? That like other people have either experienced, witnessed, or validated what I'm seeing by also seeing it, or like factually telling me. So like 2 of the things I kind of already mentioned on the pod, which was story, right?
Yes.
Of seeing the man having the message, and then specifically, which it was kind of hard editing, but like I'm telling you, like he was standing by me by the cash register and like doing this whole physical thing and being like, tell him, that's how I like it, or that's the thing. Like I can't remember what the phrase was, but it was like, tell him that exactly. And I was like, I can't. Okay, and like I turned around and Pay. You remember that thing? So he, like I'm seeing him, like he wants me to say just like this. That's how I like it, and like he is like, oh my god, what the fuck? How do you know that? You know, like like I don't know what that is. You know what I mean? So like that felt really validating to me.
Yeah.
The other one, which we did the West Village ghost tour. And,
oh, cool.
But there's a few different like spots that are very famous that they hit up, I guess, that I'd never been. It was like literally we had lived here for like 2 months and when we went. And we were with friends of mine who were new friends. And like I didn't really know like if they could hang. And like we were in an off-Broadway show together. So it was like very exciting. We're like, oh, cool. Anyway, she and her boyfriend were not into this at all. And I was surprised because she was like, well, you're into ghost stuff, right? Because I was like, oh, I love Halloween. It's Halloween time. Yeah. So she's like, let's go to a ghost tour. How stupid, right? And I was like, yeah, okay. And so Jordan and I were like joking because he's like, you can't do a ghost tour. Like, it's too much for you. And I was like, well, she's a new friend. I want to try to make it work. Like, just don't. It'll be fine. So like, wore my cross. I wore all my crystals. I wore all this stuff and like hid it under my, stuff. Yeah. And they're like, ghost tour, right? Isn't this stupid? What a waste of time. We should just go to a bar. And I was like, yeah, let's go to a bar. And she's like, no, I want to do it. It's so stupid. So I was like okay. And like the whole time Jordan is like holding my hand, like, passing energies and passing whatever. But there was a house specifically where there was a tale of basically a woman haunting this home that had been like, like used as like a medical ward at some point, or like a this, or like a private doctor's office, and then it's just like one of those buildings in New York that's been like a million different things. Yeah. But it was built as a family home originally, like a 4 to 6 story, unit down in the West Village. And I felt her immediately, my right side, and it's that thing where it's like I don't necessarily see like a whole person standing next to me, but it's like what visually I see peripherally is like sort of shoulders and a head and like hair kind of like to here, and it looks like a lighter color, and I just see her kind of turn like this towards me, and I'm like
in the corner of your eye.
And when I see stuff like this, I'm not like, hi, like I literally am truly like, okay, like breathe. I try not to interact. Yes. Which I'd love to learn to interact maybe eventually and be like, hey, what's up? How can I help you? Okay, bye. Yeah. But I've been so scared growing up that it's just like, okay. Yeah. Anyway, so Jordan, like, and he's good at reading my energy now too, because he kind of like holds my hand and I like grab it and he's like, do you see something? Or you feel it? And as the tour guide is telling the story of like, some say, like she's like clearly like a theater girl, she's like, some say that she died in the home after it was built, but she died very young and no one knows why. And the spirit says, it was my brother. Oh. Just like that. And the tour guide continues speaking, and she says it to me, and I tell Jordan, I go, it was her brother. And he goes, what? And I go, it was her brother. And the tour guide's like, many mystical times and many things that passed in time, and no one really knows. A lot of people think it was her husband who did it. And I see the spirit go like this and shake her head, and she goes, but many also say that the brother was jealous and wanted her money, so it could have been her brother as well. And Jordan like,
oh man,
looks at me like with his jaw dropped, because I'm like, I don't know this story. I don't know this area. And, like, I'm literally just telling him what she told me. And then, like, 12 seconds later, the tour guide is talking about the speculation, you know? So that was another fun one that felt kind of validating, you know?
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, I'm not just, like, saying shit, you know?
I'm just like, it has to be, where am I getting this from as well?
Yeah. There was a mistaken one day, which was really funny, where Jordan and I, last year, were walking through Central Park, like, close to Halloween.
Yeah.
And this one was kind of like you were saying, because I can't really tell when I'm super overstimulated of, like, the feeling or the not or whatever.
Yeah.
And there was this man who kind of started walking towards us in, like, a long trench coat and, like, this very big brimmed hat and, like, a tie, like, a little bow tie kind of tucked into his jacket. And I thought it was a ghost because it was so out of time. Yeah. And so I, like, saw him and I kind of, like, looked at the ground and Jordan was like, wow, that guy was dressed so crazy. And I said, wait, the guy in the trench coat? And he was like, yeah. I was like, oh my God. I literally just thought it was a ghost. And he was, like, laughing so hard. He's like, oh my God. He's like, is that what it's like living in your shoes? I'm like, yeah, well, that would have been a really strong one because they're not usually that. Like, they're more of, like, translucent or, like you can see. So that's why I was like, but it's close to Halloween. So they come through a little stronger around that time. So
what, maybe Jordan could have seen it? Or the fact that it was more, like, solid, solid.
I just thought, like, oh, maybe it's closer to Halloween, so maybe I'm seeing it more clearly.
Yeah, I see. I see. Yeah.
But yeah, no, it was just a guy dressed like super snazzy.
I had this thought, as like you were saying, like like so often I find, especially mainly women, but maybe sometimes men, when you are walking home, like, in a park and you do have, like, a seedy, creepy person, like, walking towards you. That feeling of, like, oh, okay.
That's what it is. Yeah. It's that feeling, just, like, cranked up a little bit more, of, like, okay, like, it almost feels like I have a choice to make. Yes. Or, like, it's primal, it's biological, right? Of that thing of, like, okay, I'm sensing something is wrong, like animals do, of, like, I need to be on alert, you know?
So what are you afraid of most? Like, what is your, if you don't mind me asking, what is it that makes you having this, like, it feels like this pit of the pit of your stomach's dropped, or like that impending doomy feeling, or like the uncertainty? What are you worried that will happen?
Oh my gosh, thanks for asking that. I think it's just the true uncertainty of it, because so many different spiritual encounters I've had have all been so different. And there's only been a few times where spirit has really gotten up in my face in a malignant, malicious, or scary way. But there's also been time where it feels like, I mean, it's not as dramatic as possession, but, like, negative spirits can kind of link onto you. Or travel with you and, like, make you feel shitty. Like, I don't know, like, sometimes they've scratched people, like, people have walked out of ghost hunting experiences or other experiences with scratches on their bodies, it's like the potential to hurt me and feel like truly like it's not the real world, where if a man is attacking me and I can just push him off me, it's like all bets are off with spirit. So that's really what I do get afraid of.
The uncertainty. Yeah.
And I've learned how it's interesting, mirroring with humans, how my reaction to them can contribute to what happens next.
Yes.
In terms of a negative spirit.
Yeah.
Because this is the interesting thing, which I really did have to learn the hard way, is if you feel scared or like there is a bad spirit or bad energy around you, and you plant your ground, you say, get out of here, like, get the fuck out of here. Like we see in movies and things. That's exactly what they want, Hannah.
Okay. Yeah.
Those spirits live off of energy, and you are giving them so much energy by banging your fist and getting loud and getting excited, like you think of, like, I grew up in the mountains, like with a bear. It's like, be bigger than the bear. Yeah. You scare it off, right?
Yeah.
It's not how it is with spirit. So I learned, which is, if spirit feeds off energy, you have to give them little to none, which is like shrinking yourself down to be like, I don't know how you got in here, but you need to leave.
Yeah.
You're not welcome here.
Yeah.
Like, almost like, treat it like it's stupid or like a child, but being like, no, you're lost. Keep going. Like, keeping neutral in the face of fear is like wildly difficult, but that's what I've kind of learned to do. Yeah. Because there's been a male spirit who will try to come in here every few months, and I'll see almost like a lingering, and it's just a shadow figure, which is why it feels more like that residual energy, or maybe someone who did pass away. I don't know, but I don't see features. It's just like silhouette. And I'll just stand there like menacing. And like, if I used to say like, get the fuck out of here, it would just stay. Yeah. And now I'm like, I think you're lost again. You need to go. You're well. Yeah. You know? And it's like, okay. You know?
It's interesting. It's almost like the way you say, okay, time to scooch along now, buddy. You've had, you know, goodbye, good day. That even sounds nicer to say as well. Like, than, hey, man, fuck off. Like, I don't want, and already, like, me just giving you those two examples, my body's changed.
Using more energy and
So like, it's interesting that you say, like, this is how I ignore them, because like, one, you're ignoring them, but you're also ignoring the feeling that it's giving you, right? Which is probably keeping you grounded. Like, you're trying to be as grounded as you can. Yeah. And like, it's only natural also, I guess, the way that if you were to like yell at a spirit, that you would feel like super negative about, like, it would be bad. It would give you bad energy by yelling. Like, but by like almost belittling the spirit, you're kind of like having the power over it, and you yourself feel in control. Yes. And it's all from like a positive of like, okay, like talking to a little kid. Okay,
exactly, like talking to a little kid. Yeah.
Time to go. Yeah. I've like always been very worried. That's a bad example, but like a term I can only think of right now. I had like this encounter. I've had not many encounters, but it sounds like I've actually had quite a lot of encounters.
No, I love it, yeah.
But like, I'll never forget it. I was in nursing school, and we were like doing an assignment. I won't say her name, but
you can give her a fake name like Tammy or something.
We'll call her Tammy. She
I don't know this person good.
I love it. And Tammy and I were doing this hard out nursing assignment, and it was like we were up until like 2 a.m. in the morning, and by then we were like, we aren't even like constructively like doing anything. Yeah, this is pointless. So we just started like talking about like, you know, shit, whatever, as you do. And Tammy was really religious. Okay. And I was very fascinated, because I'm not, I believe in a higher something, but I wouldn't say that I'm like religious and believe in God and like Jesus died for our sins.
Is religion like common in New Zealand?
So we literally Googled it like last week.
Wow, okay.
50% of New Zealand's population are non-religious.
Wow, that's really cool actually. I love that, yeah.
So like 50% of the population
And what is like the most common religion there?
I think it's Christianity.
Okay.
And then it's
like Protestants or something, or Catholic.
There's definitely Muslim in here. I can't tell you, but like 50%. Yeah, a hard 50 is
not religious.
Non-religious, yeah.
Very cool.
So I was talking to Tammy, and I was like, so, you know, tell me like about the fact that you believe in God. Like that's like amazing, like really cool. Like, do you like love? Do you love it?
I love that you asked me about this.
I was just so like fascinated. Like it's amazing that you believe in something like this, because she was like, I wouldn't say a hardcore Christian, but like she went to church every Sunday, which is
that's pretty hardcore.
It is hardcore. Yeah, but like some people could go like Friday night, I think, and like sit at Sunday morning and Sunday evening. Yeah. So yeah, she went once a week. Just like your low key Christian.
Yeah, your average.
Yeah, average Christian. And Tammy was like, I've seen some amazing things happen. And I was like what?
Yeah, like what?
And like she went overseas, and I think she saw like a boy, couldn't, like weird things, like was really, really sick, like terminally ill, and then like went to God and prayed, whatever, and then like met a priest. Anyway, long story short, fully cured. You know, like some beautiful miracles, you know?
And then she goes, and I'll never forget it. She was like, and she had this huge smile on her face. And she goes, but because I believe in God, I also believe in demons and the devil.
Oh my God, I'm getting chills.
And I remember being like, and she had the most, I was like, why you gotta go do that, man?
Yeah.
Like
smiling like that?
It was smiley.
Ooh.
It was 2 a.m. in the morning. And she just like looked like down and like,
ew!
And I was just like, I remember being like, Tammy, no, like in my head, like, Tammy, I trusted you. What is this? What is this? And she was just like, and then she kind of was like, I also believe in, she said devil and demons.
Yeah.
And I just remember being like, whoa. Would you look at the time? I just was like, get me out of here. I think I should go home.
Yeah.
And I just thought that escalated in the most peculiar way. Why did she do that? Maybe she was tired. Maybe she wanted to like let me know her like true thoughts. But I also was left feeling like, fuck.
Magic is real. In 1930s San Francisco, a supernatural world exists, hidden within the mundane. Meet Norman P. Blank.
Hello.
As mundane as they get.
I'm a lawyer.
Quiet, you. Through a twist of fate, Norman is hurled headfirst into a world of magic, wonder, and danger. Will he survive? Probably not.
What?
I said quiet. Roll the tape.
You can't be pixies. They're not real.
Is this real?
I was just mugged by pixies.
It's Machina. David X Machina.
I am Lady Blackfreeze.
A pleasure to meet you, Mr. Blank. I'm the Lord of Ash and Shadow.
You ever wonder why egg salad is so stinky?
No, not
It's
really.
pixie farts. That's why.
Damn this drink well! That'll teach you to be dirty.
A floating skull is talking to me.
Just remember he's a friendly floating skull.
Even though the city is filled with magical creatures, they are absolute crap when it comes to paperwork. That's where I can help.
Join us if you dare for a peek into the occult adventures of Norman P. Blank.
If you do believe in good, like I want to believe in good. Of course, we all do. I want to believe in like the goodness and happiness and like positive, and like there is life after death and all the happy rainbows, butterflies. But I feel like in nature you can't not have the good. You have to. If you want the good, you have to
balance.
Have the bad.
Yeah.
And what I'm so like scared of is like opening up to like a spiritual world.
Yes.
Because if you open that gate to like all the good stuff about the spiritual world and higher frequencies and like the love and the bliss, I'm worried that it's also gonna open like some bad juju as well.
I see what you mean. Yes, I see what you mean. I think there's certainly relevance to feeling like an openness to this other energy or other world stuff, and there being like more accessibility to the balance of both sides. But I will say is that people who vibrate on a certain frequency usually kind of like just stay in that frequency, if that makes sense. And it almost makes you more resistant to those darker things, if that makes sense. So that's why like in LA, everyone who like were really trying to get me join their little culty team was like people who call themselves light workers, right?
Yeah.
I don't discount anything they say. I think everyone who's calls themselves a light worker is like, it's great, you know? But it's like, I work out of light, I work with love, the energy of like Mother Earth and Gaia and all that, da-da-da-da. It's not necessarily God or, you know, it's kind of like whatever you jive with. And then it's like living in positivity. And like, for the most part, when I talk about the scary things that I saw or the bad things that I saw, they'd be like, no, that's not real. Or like, you know, and it's like, well, you're not experiencing it, but it doesn't mean it's not real, you know? But it's like, but in episode 4, West Coast Part 2, I talked about that spirit from Hollywood Forever Cemetery and my friends Lily and Gabby. They did like the light work, right? And like Gabby was so powerful partly because I think she like truly practiced this version of spirituality as she saw fit.
Yeah.
And she was like the first one to warn me about other people in my life who didn't have good intentions that I couldn't see, because she was like, I'm so like in this zone that zone is like, I can smell it from 1,000 miles away, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, I know how to protect myself against that. I'm not getting near that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I guess the point is, if you want to take form of any spirituality, no, like you already know that there's balance to everything, but like you can choose like what you're surrounded by, your frequency, all that, if that makes sense. You know?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I guess I just don't want to like open doors that I can't close.
Yeah, don't do a Ouija board. I mean, surely, like...
You don't know Ouija board.
I feel like that's kind of the baseline, and like...
Oh my god, I hate hearing the scary stories of Ouija boards.
Yeah, no. I've never done one. I was this close to doing one once, and it was Halloween my freshman year of high school, and my theater friends, I've talked about it a few times, like, they had some other friends from, like, a nearby school who were like, oh, they brought a Ouija board, we're gonna do it, and, like, Courtney's really, like, connected, so, like, this will be good. And I was like, I don't know, you guys, I'm really scared. Like, no, it's gonna be so fun. And we found out one of the people from the other school, her boyfriend had just killed himself. Oh, and so that was part of the impetus to want to do it, because she's like, I want to, you know. Talk to him. And so my friend, who was the oldest in the group, basically was like, we're not doing this. Like, you're not in a good place about this. Yeah. And, like, if he did come through, do you think he's in a good place to talk to you right now? You know, like...
That's very, very mature.
It's not safe for us, you know, so we didn't do it. Yeah. But that was the closest I ever got. And oh my God, I'm so thankful we didn't, because that could have been really bad.
Yeah. Is it the fact that, like, that there could have been an event, or that there would have been some juju just, like, hanging around?
Yeah, I think, both. Attachments, opening portals you can't close, like you said, and dealing with spirit who took their life. It's not going to be good, you know, especially if it was like within 2 weeks, like fresh. Yeah. And like spirits who take their own lives, which is something interesting about this area I didn't really talk about in the episode. I literally forgot, but Cooter City, where we are right now, is very popular, and why I see so many spirits here on the regular is because this used to be the most popular area in New York City to kill yourself. Mm-hmm.
Really?
The building across the street.
Oh, yeah. That looks like a castle.
Yes. It was the first residential skyscraper in the United States of America.
No way. What, yes. Like 5 stories high?
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think it's actually higher. It actually goes down around the corner. Like if you go on First Avenue, you can see it's like even more stories, because we're already up on this bridge, but it goes down a lot of floors as well. Wow. So if you go up and jump over First Avenue, it's like it's a lot of stories down. But it was a very, very tall building in like the early 1900s that you could easily jump off of and kill yourself. Yeah. Because it was high enough that you could die.
Wow.
So those spirits are generally more lost and can be detrimental, because it's like this, like, you know, like, like the sensation energetically is like having like a stomach ache and a headache at the same time, and you like feel like you're gonna throw up. Okay. Like, oh my God, I don't know what to do, you know? Yeah.
Speaking of buildings, I told you.
Yes.
My parents, the Cecil Hotel.
Oh my God.
Honeymooned.
Yes. Tell me about this. How did this happen? Yes.
Oh my God. So
to hear the story of Hannah's parents' wild honeymoon at the famously haunted Cecil Hotel, head over to the next episode now. Thanks so much for listening. Remember, you are not alone if you've ever heard a bump in the night or caught something out of the corner of your eye. There are countless others who experience things they can't explain. And this podcast is your safe place to listen and share. Also, I want to remind everyone that this show is for entertainment purposes. I am not a professional paranormal investigator. I did not go to school to study this. I can only speak about my firsthand experiences. And with that, I'd love to mark the importance of spiritual inclusion. Your thoughts, ideas, and theories about the other side are welcome. And we know that so much of our common knowledge and perception about the paranormal stems from historical and cultural experiences. So we are open to your knowledge and understanding of things that we may be ignorant about or not fully understand. Let's learn and grow together. Stay spooky, and we'll see you next time. Hey ghoul friends, got a spooky story to share? Well, I want to hear about your haunts. Whether you've seen a ghost or something unexplainable, send your supernatural experiences to us at jauntyhaunts@gmail.com. That's JAUNTYHAUNTS@gmail.com. Or DM us on Instagram at jauntyhaunts.pod. That's jauntyhaunts.pod. You can also find us on TikTok and YouTube under Jaunty Haunts Podcast. I want to hear from you.